Ever wondered what happens when Hollywood's most adored power couple steps into a legal battle so enormous it threatens to consume their entire empire? Welcome to the unfolding chaos surrounding Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni, where colossal lawsuits, behind-the-scenes drama, and explosive evidence have turned a once golden reputation into a high-stakes spectacle. This is the story that tabloids only scratch the surface of, and it's one that keeps taking darker and more bizarre turns with each revelation. For the longest time, Blake and Ryan appeared invincible. Red carpet events, picture-perfect family moments, and expertly curated social media profiles hinted that they were Hollywood's untouchable royals. But according to documents, insider leaks, and some very pointed allegations, there's an entirely different side to their pristine image. Now, as the dust settles on one of the biggest legal storms in recent Tinseltown memory, everyone is asking, did they bring this downfall on themselves, or are we witnessing an unprecedented frame job gone wrong? Let's unravel all the pieces. The spark that set this entire controversy ablaze was a staggering lawsuit filed by actor-producer Justin Baldoni against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and even the PR titan Leslie Sloan. Early buzz suggested the total damages exceeded $400 million, with rumors of another $250 million lurking behind the curtain, pushing the grand total to a chilling $650 million. At first glance, that number sounds too massive to be real, but it perfectly captures the scale of what's at stake. This isn't a mere he said, she said spat. It's a legal confrontation that could cripple the finances and reputations of everyone involved. Insiders whisper that Ryan's wealth might not be as infinite as once portrayed. Sure, he invests, owns a soccer club, and had a string of box office hits, but liquid cash on hand is entirely different from theoretical net worth. Meanwhile, Blake's career, despite her high-profile roles, hasn't exactly raked in unstoppable riches. If these lawsuits escalate, the question isn't just whether they can protect their image, but whether they can even afford to lose. Hollywood watchers are quietly wondering if we're witnessing the early tremors of a complete financial implosion for this couple. Lawsuits alone wouldn't be half as gripping without actual proof. And Baldoni's legal team didn't just show up with a few scraps of paper. They unleashed a 170-page dossier brimming with emails, text messages, and other receipts that systematically chipped away at nearly every claim Blake Lively had laid out against him. The drop was brutal. In an industry where speculation can sometimes outweigh facts, having a mountain of documented evidence is like bringing a tank to a backyard water gun fight. What made this more mind-blowing was the contrast. On one side, there were sensational media claims that Blake was victimized, body-shamed, and cornered by powerful Hollywood figures. On the other, an unrelenting flood of direct quotes and verified messages suggesting she was more aggressor than victim. Once these records became public, you could practically hear the alarm bells in Blake's camp. The tide had started turning, and it was turning fast. It's never a good look when your own lawyer decides to ditch you, especially when you're knee-deep in a case you insist is built on rock-solid truths. Yet that's precisely what happened. Blake's original attorney, Merle Conan, abruptly exited the scene after Baldoni's team dropped their devastating 170-page counterattack. Tongues started wagging the second Conan filed her withdrawal. People speculated she saw the writing on the wall and wanted no part in what was increasingly shaping up to be a courtroom train wreck. And it's not just the ex-attorney who appears shaken. Even among Blake's wider network, the vibe seems to be better to jump ship now than go down with it. One Hollywood observer mused that if you can't maintain your own lawyer's confidence, you're in serious trouble. These are the very professionals who see the raw evidence, who hear every private conversation, and know the real behind-the-scenes story. When they leave, it's an ominous sign that the puzzle pieces may not fit the narrative you're trying to sell. At one point, it seemed like Blake Lively's PR operation was unstoppable. Multiple glowing articles and interviews positioned her as a misunderstood figure. There was even a lavish December 2024 New York Times piece that framed Justin Baldoni as the villain and Blake as a fragile, wronged soul. The coverage was so favorable that many on the outside genuinely believed the headlines must be backed by airtight proof. But the illusions didn't last. The moment Baldoni's filing exposed missteps in that very article, spotlighting how certain claims weren't verified or were presented as facts without evidence, the media's tone shifted. Overnight, puff pieces dried up. Outlets that once championed her cause entered radio silence mode, leaving readers to piece together the puzzle on their own. Some referred to this moment as the official wake-up call, not just for the public, but for journalists who realized they might have been played. As for Blake's PR manager, Leslie Sloan, She ended up named in the lawsuit herself, a testament to how deep and tangled these alleged media manipulations went. In a turn that caught everyone off guard, Blake's newer legal team inadvertently outed profound mental health issues in court filings. Normally, you'd expect lawyers to keep such statements sealed, especially if it pertains to their clients' personal vulnerabilities. Yet, somehow, it ended up plastered on official documents, prompting a wave of speculation about potential personality disorders, high anxiety, or manipulative tendencies. Social media buzzed with theories, comparing the situation to other high-profile Hollywood meltdowns. Almost immediately, Blake's side scrambled to seal these records behind an attorney's eyes-only protective order. Skeptics couldn't help but wonder, if everything is above board, why the scramble for secrecy? There's a possibility these details could shape public perception of her entire lawsuit and how she navigated it. After all, if someone's struggling with reality or prone to dramatizing events, it might change the court's reading of each claim. For Blake, who'd cultivated an image of the poised, sunny, and always in control actress, this revelation was a bolt of lightning that gave everyone pause. Couples in Hollywood often face rumors of trouble, so it's hardly shocking to hear gossip about tension between Blake and Ryan. But this time, multiple credible sources say the friction is real, not tabloid invention. Whispers claim the two aren't even living under the same roof, and while they still appear together for public events, the chemistry seems forced. The big question is, are they truly on the brink of divorce or simply overwhelmed by a legal nightmare that's swallowing all their energy? Look at the timeline. Ryan publicly backed aspects of Blake's stance early on. Then, as evidence piled up, he seemed to fade quietly from the conversation, filing a few defensive motions but doing little else. Some interpret that shift as Ryan reevaluating his own risks in this fiasco. Others sense he's still behind Blake 100%, yet severely conflicted about their precarious financial situation. However this saga ends, their fans are learning that the glitzy veneer might have been a carefully crafted PR fantasy, and the real story is far more chaotic. Hollywood alliances are often fickle, but Blake's circle appeared tight-knit until now. Her once exalted best friendship with Taylor Swift shows signs of strain, thanks to rumors that Blake tried leveraging Taylor's name to sway Baldoni. You can almost feel Taylor's team tiptoeing around the controversy, making sure the star's brand remains squeaky clean and far removed from the swirling lawsuit. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman, long known for clowning around with Ryan Reynolds in public, hasn't made so much as a peep in support. The bromance seems to have hit an indefinite pause. Even Anna Kendrick, who shared a screen with Blake, has looked visibly uncomfortable in joint appearances. She's known for her quick wit and easy charm, but the tension around them apparently made these appearances awkward. In an industry where negative associations can torpedo your next casting call, everyone is minding their reputations carefully. The result is a spectacle of acquaintances slowly peeling away, or maintaining an arm's length distance. That isolation stings more than any tabloid article because it shows how alone a star can become once the public consensus sours. After all the gossip, headlines, and legal fireworks, one question looms. Can Blake and Ryan survive the financial fallout? Their net worth might look massive on paper, but you can't just cut a $400 million check and walk away unscathed. Court fees, potential damages, and massive interest can expand these numbers beyond anything their accountants would want to see. If the lawsuit snowballs beyond its current scope, or if additional suits arise from those who claim they were defamed in the process, this could morph into a full-blown financial death spiral. Even in the best-case scenario, the couple could face settlement negotiations that cost them an eye-watering sum. And that doesn't include the intangible costs, lost brand deals, negative media coverage that tarnishes future box office potential, and the meltdown of personal relationships with industry heavyweights who once bolstered their career. It's one thing to risk money, but risking your entire Hollywood standing can be irreversible. Stars climb the ladder slowly, but they can tumble in a heartbeat. For a moment, imagine the scenario from Blake Lively's perspective. You're hailed as Hollywood royalty, you've got a near-perfect public persona, and your alliances with top-tier celebrities and media power players make you feel untouchable. Then, in the blink of an eye, a lawsuit flips everything upside down. The evidence points in an opposite direction from your claims, your lawyer abandons ship, your PR guru is named in the legal action, the media stops returning your calls, and your own mental health struggles are laid bare in official documents. That's the reality Blake faces right now. The court of public opinion rarely waits for a final verdict to form a judgment. People are already convinced she manipulated events, or at least embellished the truth. Whether she intended it this way or not, she's become the villain in the story. And while there's always room for comebacks, especially in an industry that loves reinvention, the damage here is extraordinary. Hollywood might be all about glamour, but the courts deal in hard facts. Baldoni's lawyers continue pressing for full accountability, hinting more bombshells are on the way. Judge Lyman is giving every indication that the media-friendly narrative won't sway any decisions. Blake's new legal counsel is busy filing motions to protect her private information, but in doing so, they've made it painfully obvious there's a treasure trove of secrets that could blow this case wide open. As the months roll on, even casual observers sense that something bigger than just a standard Hollywood spat is unfolding. This might not be a story that ends with a quiet settlement and a few apologetic press statements. It's shaping up to be a cultural moment where we see exactly how far a star's PR machine can push a narrative, and what happens when the facts push back. The collision of Hollywood showmanship and the unforgiving machinery of the legal system has never been more riveting. So, will Blake Lively finally step forward and admit to the tangled web behind the headlines? Or will she double down, spinning new narratives in hopes of swaying public sympathy? Either choice seems fraught with risk. Ryan Reynolds, for his part, might soon face the spotlight's glare as well, because letting your spouse sink under allegations, especially if they involve manipulative conduct, doesn't look great from the outside. If you're not publicly defending her, do you secretly believe the allegations are true? If you defend her too hard, you might tie yourself to a sinking ship. It's a lose-lose scenario. Meanwhile, Baldoni stands resolute, buoyed by his cache of receipts that shattered the initial storyline. Observers claim he's not just fighting for damages, he wants the record set straight. And that's a problem for anyone who hoped to simply bury the details under hush-hush negotiations. As the legal battle deepens, it feels less and less likely that quiet, behind-closed-doors deals will suffice. Audiences are now hungry for the raw story. Every text message, email, and confession that reveals how this entire fiasco went from hush-hush friction to public cataclysm. Hollywood thrives on reinvention. Stars bounce back from scandal with savvy PR, heartfelt confessions, or well-crafted comeback roles. But not every star can outrun a scandal when it hits this hard. For Blake Lively, the next few months could be the difference between a bruised image she can nurse back to health and a permanent fall from grace. The watchers in Hollywood are already discussing the potential for blacklisting, which is every celebrity's worst nightmare. Brands are cautious about endorsements that could blow up in their faces. Potential co-stars worry about PR disasters overshadowing their own projects. In other words, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the revelations continue piling up and these lawsuits lurch toward an ugly public resolution, the media will only intensify its scrutiny. People are fascinated by a story where the supposed it couple is blindsided by real-life drama more sensational than any script. And ironically, it's not the cinematic kind of drama that scores you an Oscar. It's the unraveling kind that leaves you standing in Hollywood in tatters. In this escalating saga, almost no one is emerging unscathed. A once impenetrable PR fortress is now riddled with gaping holes. Relationships that sparkled under the limelight seem fractured behind closed doors. Rumors swirl of financial ruin, personal betrayals, and unhinged power plays that no one dared imagine a year ago. And through it all, one question resonates across social media, industry gossip, and quiet backstage whispers. How did this happen? And can it possibly get any worse? Whether Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds manage a miraculous turnaround or end up facing a crushing legal and reputational defeat remains to be seen. Maybe they find a path to redemption, some Hail Mary statement of apology, or newly discovered piece of evidence that revives public sympathy. Or maybe they sink deeper into scandal until the industry and fans lose patience entirely. Either way, the story has already changed the way people see them, possibly forever. And as each new scrap of information emerges, it feels like we're witnessing the real-life version of a shocking Hollywood script. Except there's no guarantee of a happy ending once the cameras stop rolling.